My friends, Israeli-British historian Avi Schleim, emeritus professor at Oxford of International Relations, says that one definition of a nation is a group of people united by hatred of their neighbors and a mistaken view of their past. The 19th century French thinker Ernest Renan said that getting its history wrong is part of being a nation. That's perennially true. That's true for Americans, my friends, in our nation. And that's also true for Israelis and their Zionist enablers.
זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק, נצטווינו. אנו זוכרים ואנו נלחמים.
Have you ever heard the ironic expression, to forge a nation? It's strikingly ironic because most nations are indeed forgeries. Israeli historian Dr. Shlomo Sand helps us see clearly this was the case of the Zionist Israeli state, now committing wanton genocide on Palestinians in Gaza.
But I'm really worried that Jewish nationalism was not transformed to a civic nationalism, instead an ethnocentric nationalism. This is the problem of Israel, that Jewish nationalism, it means Zionism, didn't change to a civic nationalism, continue to stay ethnocentric. You understand me?
Folks, history and theology are nothing if they are not subversive. Historians who are not subversive, who do not challenge people on their spurious familiarity, on the accepted notions they quickly head nod to, who do not help people to think again and anew about the past, are worthless. The reason for that is because the purpose of history is to challenge people in this way. And I can say the same about theologians. Theologians who are not subversive, who do not challenge people, are worthless. Think about dictators and why they think historians are terrible people. Dictator Nikita Khrushchev thought historians were terrible. Said Khrushchev, historians are capable of upsetting everything. God knows, today we need true historians. But historians without guts, historians without spines, spineless jellyfish historians are worthless. And the same thing is true about theologians. Historians and theologians who are not subversive and do not challenge us to think again are worthless.
The Zionist claim to Palestine was based on exceptionally weak grounds and misrepresentation of the reality in Palestine at the end of the 19th century. There was a very clever Zionist slogan, a country without a people for a people without a country. The slogan implied that the Jews were people without a country, which they were, but also it implied that Palestine didn't have a people, it wasn't inhabited. But this was not true. There had been a well-constituted Arab society in Palestine for centuries. And One other Zionist claim to Palestine was also not very convincing, because Zionism was a secular movement, but it also invoked divine promise to the Jews of the promised land. So the Zionists were secular, they did not believe in God, and yet they turned God into a land agent who promised them this particular plot of land. The weakness of the Zionist claim to Palestine is illustrated by the following episode. The visionary of the Jewish state was Theodor Herzl, a Viennese Jew who wrote a pamphlet outlining his idea for a Jewish state in Palestine. And the rabbis of Vienna got together, collected some money, and sent two of their members to Palestine to check out Herzl's idea. And the two rabbis sent a telegram which became famous. It said, the bride is beautiful, but she is already married to another man. In other words, Palestine is beautiful, but there was already another people living there.
As a historian, how do you evaluate a more emotional claim that the Jews make to the land of Palestine, that it is their biblical heritage, that it is the land of Canaan, this is where Judaism started, therefore this is our home? How do you evaluate that?
That this claim is completely invalid in the modern era. In the modern era, there is international law, there are international organizations, there are international borders, and a claim that goes back to 2 millennia ago is completely untenable in the modern age, because any other people could resurrect claims that go back millennia ago, and if every people was able to assert historic rights to a land, then that is a recipe for never-ending conflict all over the world.